Today, we are cracking open one of the most influential personal finance books ever written, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. You've probably heard of it, right? This book absolutely blew the lid off of conventional wisdom about money. It argues that there's a huge difference between what the rich teach their kids and what the rest of us learn. So let's dive into the core lessons that have changed millions of lives.
So let me ask you something. Think about it for a sec. What did your parents teach you about money? For almost all of us, that's where it all starts. That's our initial programming. Now the author, Robert Kiyosaki, he had a really unique setup. He basically grew up with two dads, each one giving him a completely different perspective on money and, well, on life itself.
And this is the whole foundation of the book. Kiyosaki had his real dad, who he calls his poor dad. Now this guy was brilliant, highly educated, had a PhD, and believed in the traditional path: go to school, get good grades, find a safe, secure job. But then there was his rich dad, who was actually his best friend's father. This man never even finished the 8th grade, but he became an incredibly wealthy entrepreneur. And man, the advice they gave was just night and day. Poor dad would say things like, the love of money is the root of all evil. But rich dad, he'd flip it and say, no, the lack of money is the root of all evil. One said, find a good company to work for. The other said, find a good company to buy. And this one is a big one. Poor dad thought his house was his greatest asset. Rich dad said his house was a liability. But the most powerful difference was in their mindset. One would say, I can't afford it, which just shuts your brain down. The other would ask, how can I afford it, which forces your brain to start looking for solutions.
So this fundamental difference in thinking leads us straight to the central problem the book tackles. It's a trap that so many of us fall into, no matter how hard we work. He calls it the rat race.
So what is the rat race, really? Well, it's that hamster wheel of modern life, isn't it? You get up, you go to work, you earn money just to pay your bills, and then you do it all over again. And here's the real trap. You get a raise at work, you think, great, I'm finally getting ahead. But what happens? You upgrade your car, you move to a bigger house, and suddenly your expenses have risen right along with your income. You're trapped.
And this right here, this gets to the heart of it. The problem isn't that people are lazy or aren't working hard enough. Not at all. The book argues that what's missing from our education isn't how to make money. We learn that. It's how to manage money. We're taught to work for money, but nobody teaches us how to make money work for us.
Okay, let's break this down with some simple diagrams. First, here's the cash flow pattern of a poor person. It's really straightforward. Money comes in from their job and poof, it goes right back out to cover taxes, rent, food, and other necessities. There's nothing left over. The asset column is completely empty.
Now, let's look at the middle class. The salary is bigger, but watch what happens. That extra income goes to buying liabilities that people often mistake for assets. Things like a mortgage, car loans, student loans, credit card debt. And all those liabilities, they just create even more monthly expenses, which keeps them stuck running in that rat race.
But now, look at the cash flow of the rich. It's a totally different game. The first thing you should notice is where their income comes from. It's not primarily from a salary. It's coming from their assets. We're talking real estate, stocks, bonds, things that are generating income for them. That money flows in, covers their expenses, and the extra cash is used to, you guessed it, buy even more assets. It's a powerful wealth-building cycle.
So, how do you escape the rat race and start building that rich person's cash flow pattern? Well, according to Rich Dad, it all comes down to one profoundly simple yet powerful rule.
And here it is. This is probably the most famous quote from the entire book. It says it all. The key to building wealth is to understand the fundamental difference between an asset and a liability. It sounds so basic, but this is the single biggest hurdle where most people get it wrong. So let's make it crystal clear. Forget all the complicated accounting definitions you've ever heard. Rich Dad's definition of an asset is this simple. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. That's it, period.
And a liability? Well, it's the exact opposite. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Think about your car payment, your mortgage, your credit card bills. These things cost you money every single month.
So there you have it. Rule number 1. The only rule you really need to get started. You must know the difference between an asset and a liability, and then spend your life buying assets. If you can master just this one concept, you are on the path to financial freedom. Okay, so once you understand that rule, the next logical question is, how do you apply it? Well, the book's next lesson is all about this idea.
You need to mind your own business.
Kiyosaki tells this great story to explain the concept. He asks, what business was Ray Kroc, the guy who made McDonald's a global empire, actually in? Now, most people would immediately say he's in the hamburger business, right? That's what a bunch of MBA students told him once. But they were completely wrong.
Ray Kroc explained to them, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not in the hamburger business. My business is real estate." See, his profession was selling hamburger franchises, but his business, the thing that was building his massive wealth, was acquiring the valuable real estate underneath every single one of those franchises. The lesson: your profession is not your business. Your business is your asset column.
So what kind of things should you be acquiring for your business? Well, here are the categories of real assets the book recommends. We're talking about things like businesses that can run without you, stocks, bonds, income-generating real estate. You get the idea. It's all about assets that make money for you, even when you're not actively working.
And all of this leads to the final and most important mindset shift in the entire book. This is the ultimate goal of minding your own business and buying assets. It's about getting to a point where your money is working for you, instead of the other way around.
This was Rich Dad's mantra. Poor Dad spent his entire life working hard for a paycheck. Rich Dad, on the other hand, spent his life building and buying assets, systems that worked hard for him, 24/7, whether he was there or not. That is the ultimate definition of financial freedom.
And the order in which you do things is absolutely crucial here. Most people get a pay raise or a bonus and immediately go buy a luxury item, often putting it on a credit card. The rich do the exact opposite. They focus on building their asset column first. Then, and only then, they use the cash flow that those assets generate to buy their luxuries. So, in effect, their assets are buying their luxuries for them, not their own time and labor.
And so, that's the powerful final question the book leaves us with, and the one I'll leave with you. Take an honest look at your own financial life. Is your money just coming in from a job and flowing right back out to pay for liabilities? Or are you consciously and deliberately building an asset column that will one day work for you? So ask yourself, are you working for your money, or is your money starting to work for you?